And along the lines of Shirley Chisholm, if you don't have the seat, bring your own table. Make it happen to the extent that you can. Have the spunk to go ahead and do that. Yes, absolutely. My process and interest in the law actually began in 6th grade. The teacher at the time, interestingly enough, was an African-American male teacher, one of, I think, only 2 that I had growing up. And what he did was he took the month of February, which we have all come to know as Black History Month, and we studied all of the different types of ways that Black people have contributed to society in sports and science and you name it. And it was during that month that I learned about Thurgood Marshall specifically, and I was just inspired. I was really inspired by the kind of work that he did to really make an impact on children and just in general. So that was when I thought, okay, and although I originally wanted to be a pediatrician because Florence Nightingale was my one of my role models, it was at that time that I said, no, I think law is really going to be where I'd like to go in terms of a career. But during that same month where my teacher focused on Black history, I learned about Shirley Chisholm. And, fighting Shirley Chisholm, how dare she? She actually ran for president that many years ago and was such an effective politician. And so she was a mentor, a role model of mine coming up. And it was really more so the concept that she fought for people who needed somebody to fight for them and for the issues that people really needed help with. And so just thinking about what she did and how she was so spunky and confident, that was inspiring to me. It was a case that I had made a decision. It was not necessarily something that person, it was a woman who was accused of a crime and pled guilty to it, and it may have been one of the hardest things that she had to do and experience. And I made the best and most informed decision that I could possibly make on that day and didn't know the impact that it had on her. But what I was sure to do and always do is treat people with dignity, as Kristen said. And I remember saying to her, this decision that I'm making today does not have to be a scarlet letter for you. Do not have this define you. You can continue on and make good choices in life and be able to be successful even beyond today and beyond the punishment that you had to receive by way of the sentence that I gave to her that day. And literally, one of the best things that you could ever have happen is about a year later, she actually wrote a letter to me, and she talked about how my words that day had such an impact on her. And she has since finished school, and she's now on her career path. And just that was what really helped her to feel like she could move forward. I didn't know it. I'm so glad and I'm grateful that she told me that in the way that she did. But to know that I can have that kind of impact is what makes me proud. And so for me, I do think and hearken back to hearing Miss Kennedy, who was one of the first women lawyers in all of North Carolina and definitely here for Forsyth County, talk about the time when she first started. And I don't know that people remembered her name, but they just called her Lady Lawyer. And so we've come a long way, in my opinion, from there. There's always going to be new things that need to be done and new ways that we can make new strides. I also hearken back to the shoulders that I stand on, and they include the judge that had my seat, who was Judge Denise Hartsfield, and then other judges that have served us so well, like Loretta Biggs, who are also local in our community. So yes, there's always going to be, it seems, and maybe one day not, but for now, there's always going to be new things that can be done and new ways that things can be better for women who practice law or who sit on the bench. But I'm also proud of the ways that we have made a whole bunch of strides. And Forsyth County really has very good representation at this point in time. A large number of the judges on our bench are women, and that's something to be proud of. Just gotta be fearless. Don't be afraid. Tap into whatever level of confidence you have in various abilities that you might have and go for it. You've just got to be willing to go for it. And I think, again, in this 2025, there's got to be a whole lot of great examples of women in leadership positions. I mean, the reality is that our outgoing vice president was a woman. And there are so many other examples, Justice Ginsburg. And so find one that inspires you and take that inspiration and make it your own, make your own way, but you can do it. I think there are going to be a whole bunch of examples. If you look at us as leaders, and I guess a lot of people do, you got 3 right here, but you've got so many more. And leaders come in so many different forms and fashions. Leaders are teachers, leaders are your parents, leaders are people sitting on the bench. And so just find who inspires you and tap into that.